In this video, I'll be showing you exactly how I sign $10,000 clients on autopilot without going viral, running paid ads, or doing any cold outreach. This is the 4-step process that I teach my one-on-one clients and that I've personally used to hit 20K weeks and scale my solo consulting business to 500K per year as a 23-year-old. If you want to sign high-ticket clients from content consistently, the information in this video will literally make you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for your business. I walk you through exactly how to become the go-to authority in your niche so you can charge higher prices and work with better clients. Engineer your offer stack to create more revenue streams while moving followers closer towards your highest ticket offer. Build a monetization ecosystem which attracts, nurtures, and converts on autopilot. And create a system that turns one big idea into a week's worth of content while bringing in qualified leads to your page. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, let's get into it. So this is the exact system I've used to have 20K days, 40K months, and sign 10K clients consistently with my personal brand and coaching business. The whole idea here is that if you're posting content consistently, but you're still not signing clients, it's not about necessarily posting more. I spent 5 years posting content, and it's only been in the last 5-6 months that I've really blown up and actually been able to monetize my audience successfully. And that's because I've developed this 4-step process to turn attention into high-ticket clients. And really, it doesn't have anything to do with going viral or having a huge following. It has to do with trust, right? We're in a trust recession right now. Buyers have been burned by other coaches, other agencies, other consultants, and they don't want to be burned again. So they're not just going to take your word that you can help them get results, right? You really have to prove it and build that trust with your content and personal brand. And so that's really what this system does. It's built on 4 pillars: authority, offer, ecosystem, and then ideas. So first, let's talk about why your personal brand isn't attracting clients right now. And there's really 4 different reasons. 1, buyers don't see you as an authority yet. They can't really tell the difference or make a distinction between you and your competitors. So that means it ends up coming down to price. And at that point, you become a commodity brand, and it's kind of like a race to the bottom. And so the second problem is you only have one offer, right? You're asking someone to pay $10,000 before they've ever worked with you before, which is just not necessarily the smartest way to do business, and it's going to lead to fewer conversions. The third problem is you've got no content systems, right? You might be posting, but you don't really have a systematic process to attract, nurture, and convert clients. You're really just trying to go viral and hoping it somehow magically turns into clients. And then the fourth main problem I see is that you can't find winning ideas, right? So you don't know which type of content, which ideas, which formats to actually post that will bring in the right type of people to your business. You just don't know what to post. So those are the 4 problems. Let's talk about how to build a personal brand that actually signs 10K clients consistently. First, I want to talk about authority architecture. And the whole idea is that we're trying to widen your authority gap. And I'll explain what that means. The authority gap is basically the distance between where your ideal client thinks they are versus where they think you are. And so the wider that gap is, the more that you can charge for your service. I really like to visualize it like this. And your best clients are always going to be a few steps behind you, basically where you used to be, and they want to get to where you are now, right? It doesn't matter what service, what product you have. They want to close that gap. They want to know what you know. They want to have the results that you do. So if you look at it from this perspective, right, on the left-hand side is where you and your ideal client were once that you're trying to get away from. On the right-hand side, it's where you and your ideal client are trying to get to, and you're just a few steps ahead of them. And that distance between you and the ideal client is the authority gap, right? Because you've been where they are now, that makes you relatable. And because you and your ideal client are trying to get to the same place, that's what makes you aspirational and followable. And because you're documenting your progress and what you're doing, what you're building, the results that you have, sharing that content that we'll talk about a bit later, that's really what builds this authority gap and pushes it wider so you can justify higher prices. And so then the question is, okay, how do I actually build relatability, build the authority gap, and become aspirational for my ideal client? Well, to become relatable, you want to talk about your past. You want to talk about your stories, right? People won't see you as an authority until they see that you were once where they are now. And that's what your story does. The second part is you want to build that authority. And so this is where you document what you're building in real time, right? So you're showing the wins, showing the progress, giving the insights that you have that your ideal clients will find valuable, and basically building undeniable proof that you are who you say you are and you can get the result that you claim you can. And this is really what's going to widen that gap by proving that you're ahead and you know more and you have the answer. And the last part is really coming off as aspirational. So this is where you're talking about your goals, the mission that you're on, the vision that you have for your business, and really what you're working towards, right? Your best clients want to go where you're going. So show them where that is. Show them the roadmap. Show them that promised land that you are leading them towards. And I really want to double down on how to widen that authority gap. And there are 4 things I want to talk about. 1, shift their beliefs. So change how your client sees their problem and what's actually possible for them. That belief shifting content is really what's going to turn a viewer into a buyer. 2nd, show that you're ahead. Demonstrate it with proof, show client results, payment screenshots, show that you're doing what they want to do and have the result, the dream outcome that they do. Right? For me, I run a personal branding offer. I want to show that my personal brand is actually making money, right? That I'm connecting with high-level entrepreneurs, that I'm getting really cool opportunities from my content, and that I'm ultimately growing my business because of my personal brand. And that really leads into like show the dream result as well, right? Pretty self-explanatory. What does your ideal client want for themselves? Show that you have it. And the last part is really prove that you have the answers. And this isn't necessarily showing that you have the dream result, but showing that you have the roadmap and the step-by-step process to help them get there, right? Prove that you aren't just lucky and you just happen to get the result that they want. Show the intermediate steps that you've taken yourself and that you want to take them through as well as a client. And the last part about building your authority is becoming a person worth following. Authority isn't just proving that you're already ahead. It's being someone that people actually want to follow. And you can do that in 3 different ways, especially as like a coach, consultant, someone who's really like leading someone somewhere in a pretty hands-on way. First, play a public game. So talk about the goals that you have for yourself and for your business, right? Share the real goal that you have, the how and the why behind it. Then post your progress. Update people on yourself moving towards the goal. Show them that you have momentum. Show them that you have motion. The second part is post insight, not value, right? Value is kind of like how to. Here's how to get X results. And value is everywhere. It's repurposed, it's recycled. Someone can share value and not actually know what they're talking about. ChatGPT can give you value, not really knowing any of your context. Insight is actually how you apply the value to solve a specific problem. It's really about application and about personal storytelling of how you got this result using your unique mechanism. All right? It's really personalizing the value and making sure that you're not just sharing kind of surface level tips, but big ideas, unique insights that your ideal client hasn't necessarily heard or thought of before. And the third part is really naming your own method. It's really important with your personal brand, especially as a coach, consultant, creative, that you have a branded mechanism. You have a specific way of doing things that's different from everyone else, right? And how do you create that? Well, you come up with a different name for it. Even if it's similar to what your competitors are doing, by branding it and giving a name, that's what makes it yours and what makes you own it. And so then your ideal client can no longer compare strictly deliverables or what they get, because yours is different than what anyone else is offering. And so that's a key way that I've been able to grow my business and attract people who want to learn from me specifically, because I have unique branded frameworks and systems that no one else does. And if you actually want my one-on-one help to install all these systems that I've talked about, that I'm going to talk about into your business, feel free to DM me the word 10K on Instagram and I'll share more information about what it actually looks like to work together. Second is offer engineering. And I call this the ascension model. So the problem is that most coaches, consultants, agency owners, they sell one offer to everyone, but that's a huge mistake. Let's just say out of 100 people that follow your page, maybe only 2 or maybe only 1, maybe 0 are ready to spend $10,000 on you or invest in your highest ticket offer. The other 98 or the other 99 or all 100, they still want your help You just haven't given them a way to work together. And so that's really why I like the Ascension model, which is basically building an offer ladder, right? A low ticket entry point, a mid-tier offer, and then a high ticket one-on-one. So no matter the financial situation, no matter, the trust level of each follower, there's an offer that they can take with you to start working with you and actually giving you the chance to prove to them that you know what you're talking about and you can get them results. And so I kind of explained why it already works. This is kind of just an example of an offer ladder that you could have for your business, right? So an entry could be, a $50 digital product, a $500 course, a mid-tier could be some sort of group course, a group consulting offer where it's not necessarily one-on-one, but you still get group access, weekly calls, things like that. And then like a high ticket offer where you can charge anywhere between 5 and 10K, even more sometimes depending on your authority. And this is typically more one-on-one. Could be done with you. It could also be done for you. But it's typically for people who are ready to invest seriously in growing their business or growing themselves, depending on your offer. And the whole point is that if they've invested in the entry, if they've invested in the mid-tier, and they've already gotten good results, that's going to make them way more likely to want to invest in your high ticket because you've already proven to them that your knowledge, that your systems are valuable for them, right? So I give a couple examples, but it's pretty self-explanatory. The whole idea is that each of these tiers, it's not necessarily selling a different thing. It's selling the same result. It's just different access, right? It's one core transformation, but 3 different ways to get that transformation, right? And if you're going to pay $97, obviously you're not going to necessarily get to the transformation as quickly or as thoroughly as if you pay $10,000 for the one-on-one access. At the end of the day, you really want to have one offer that's easy to buy and a simple yes, right? So something like a $50 product that's low commitment, and then one that takes a lot of commitment, one high ticket offer. You need to have at least those 2 things. Ideally, you have a third, which is a mid-tier, but really keep that in mind to make sure that you have that offer stack inside of your business. The third step is the monetization ecosystem. And this is really how we are going to help people ascend up the offer ladder and build that authority gap as well through your content, right? So the whole idea is that no one's going to pay $10,000 to you after watching one reel. And Google's done a lot of research on this in terms of like how to actually get someone to buy from content. And so they've created what they call, the 7-11-4 rule, which means in order for someone to buy from you, they need on average to watch 7 hours of your content across 11 different touch points or pieces of content across 4 platforms. Right? So if our goal is to hit 7 hours of watch time, let's figure out how to do that as quickly as possible, while at the same time making sure that it's not all on one platform. So you can't actually achieve this goal of this 7-11-4 rule on one platform. So that's why we expanded to this content ecosystem, this monetization ecosystem. And so this is kind of the process or the step-by-step to get people into your ecosystem and then moving closer to a purchase or actually buying from you. Reels are for attraction, to actually attract the right people. Stories nurture those people that you attract to your page. YouTube builds a ton of trust and actually eats up a lot more time towards building towards those 7 hours of watched content. Your lead magnet is what you use to capture the name, the email, the information of potential leads so that you can market to them. Email is where you can do a lot of your selling. And then having a call to action across Instagram, story sequences, YouTube, lead magnet, email, that is what is going to lead to the conversion. Actually asking someone to take an action to move closer towards working with you and moving them further down the sales pipeline. So kind of breaking down each a little bit more in detail. Instagram, as we mentioned, is all about attracting the right type of people. It's more top of funnel. It's built for reach, right? And so its only job is to really get the right type of person into your world and to discover your page and your business. And so here inside of Instagram, I like to think about mixing 2 types of content. Top of funnel, which is going to build desire, relatability, and differentiation by showing your lifestyle, your identity, your stance. And what I mean by that is is your beliefs, the things that you stand for and the things that you stand against, really self-selecting or helping people self-select to make sure that the right type of people enter your ecosystem. And then middle of funnel content, which is going to break limiting beliefs, speak to specific ICP problems that your ideal client has, and then pre-handle their objections. The whole idea is that top of funnel content on Instagram gets attention, but middle of funnel content builds conviction in you. Looking next at Instagram story sequences, if Reels generate the attention, stories do the conversion. Stories are really the closest thing to a one-on-one conversation that you can have with your ideal client. And it really, by posting consistent story sequences, it's going to build what I call like a parasocial relationship or parasocial trust by posting consistent, if not daily, stories. Right? It removes a lot of the friction of having to watch, a 60, 90-second reel in order to get to some sort of call to action. And so people can go through it a lot more quickly, which basically means there's going to be a lot more people who are raising their hand, taking action, whether that's moving towards YouTube, whether that's sending a message into your DMs and starting up a sales conversation. It's just a lot less friction towards moving them further down the sales process through Instagram stories, while building that parasocial trust. For YouTube, this is the quickest way to rack up those 7 hours of watch time and turn a stranger into a buyer. It's a huge part of my ecosystem, and I make sure to post consistently. The video you're watching right now is a YouTube video, and this is really where buyers are made. The key here for a personal brand isn't necessarily to be trying to outcompete huge names on outcomes, right? So you wouldn't post a YouTube video about making more money or building a brand. Right? Everyone's kind of heard those, and that niche is very, very saturated. You want to build what I call like a micro niche YouTube channel, which is very specific to your offer. And what's going to help you stand out from all the other creators or business owners or entrepreneurs in your space is by focusing on your vehicle, your unique way of doing things, your unique mechanism, right? And at the end of the day, if you speak to the exact right person and are very niche down with your offer, you don't need 400,000, you don't need 1 million subscribers to make money. You don't even need 10,000 subscribers to make money. You just need a very focused niche YouTube channel that solves a specific problem, right? So at the time of this recording, I have about 1.8 thousand YouTube subscribers, and I make 40K per month from my business. And I know guys with more than 100,000 YouTube subscribers who make less than $20,000 a month with their channel, and there's a reason why, because they haven't set it up properly. In terms of what to actually post on YouTube, there's a ton of different things, but you really need this foundational trio, which I'm about to talk about. You need a case study video, you need a unique model video, unique mechanism video, and then you need an industry mistakes video. So the case study video, and I've actually linked, if you want this PDF, it should be in the description, but I've actually linked these specific videos for my channel here. The case study video basically shows a real client's before and after, or how you've helped a specific person solve a big problem or a painful problem that your ideal customer is facing. Basically shows your methods work for someone other than yourself. The next is a unique mechanism video, and this is really your signature method. This is incredibly important. So for me, I help entrepreneurs build premium personal brands, and I have a very specific, unique branded system and structure that I actually take clients through, which is what this video, for example, is all about. And it really sells the how, right? The how you're going to get your ideal client to that dream result, make them believe that it works. The last video is a little bit less important, I would say, but still is important, is the industry mistakes video. Show that you're a thought leader in the space. Talk about the things that other coaches, other competitors, everyone's getting wrong or doesn't understand about your niche, about your industry, about the outcome that you're selling, and try to be contrarian, right? And so I did this podcast last week, and it was amazing, but I made sure that I was pushing back on a lot of the quote unquote common knowledge in the personal branding, the content marketing space, to really set myself up as someone who thinks differently and has a new perspective that people haven't heard before, which really sets me apart from my competition. And I've already gotten a few clients actually from this specific YouTube video. Just in terms of actually structuring these videos, it doesn't need to be super crazy. I would always just recommend scripting the intro, which is what you saw in this video, But then the rest of it is just like explain, talk, teach, do your thing. But make sure you have a title, a strong thumbnail, and then ideally a scripted intro that makes it clear who this video is for and what viewers are going to learn from this video. The next part of the monetization ecosystem is the lead magnet. Lead magnets basically are ways to get people to give you their name and email and start up a conversation in your Instagram DMs. So for me, the video you're watching right now is a lead magnet. I have PDFs that are lead magnets. I have Notion pages, Notion dashboards that are lead magnets. Basically anything that's valuable to your viewer to get them to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about basically what you do and how you can help. And so again, YouTube videos can be lead magnets, which I've kind of linked here. These are 3 of my really high converting lead magnets so far. But you can have PDFs, you can have Notion, you can have Claude Code skills, really anything that's valuable to your ideal client can be a lead magnet. And ideally, kind of like some extra sauce here is that in terms of, what do I create lead magnets on? Figure out those biggest pain points that your clients or your leads are coming to you with and solve each of those problems in a specific video or document, and that's going to be a really good lead magnet that you can send out to people. The next part is email, and email is really easy to create consistently because you don't need to film anything, you don't need to edit anything. It's just literally the written word. You can get AI and skills to help you a lot with this. But the whole idea is that the social media, the Instagram, the YouTube, they're to basically generate attention and show that what you do works. And email is where you do the selling. So I try to send 2 to 3 emails a week. And basically I'm telling a story about something I've learned, a result I've gotten from my clients. And at the end of the email, I have a call to action. Hey, I got this result from my client. Or if you want to work one-on-one with me inside my program, reply to this email with a keyword or click this link to go to my YouTube video where you can apply. And it's really about nurturing the audience and then selling to them. And so the 4 main types of emails that you can kind of rotate in between are like a value email where you're teaching something useful, proving that you know your stuff. A story video, which is like a personal lesson you learned, something that happened in your life, a belief shift you had, something that makes you relatable. Proof, which is basically pretty self-explanatory, a client win, a case study that you have. Basically it removes doubt in the viewer's mind or the reader's mind that you can actually get them the result that they want. And then the last type is an offer. So this is very direct. It's basically saying, hey, you've been reading my emails for a while. You haven't taken action yet. You've been thinking about getting this result or investing in something. Now's the time. Stop basically waiting to take action and to get the result. Reply with this email and I'll send you more information about what it actually looks like to work with me. The whole idea with emails, you send 2 to 3 a week. If you can send more. But 2 to 3 emails a week at the minimum is going to get you a lot of leads from email. And then the last part is the call to action. So there are really 2 types of call to actions: a hard CTA, hard call to action, which is where you're basically asking directly, hey, if you want to work with me, take this action. If you want to pay me to help you get this result, take this action. And then the second part is really a soft call to action, which is a little bit less direct and usually points to like a free resource. It's lower friction. More people are going to respond to it because there's less sales resistance because it is a free resource. But from there, you can follow up with the lead in Instagram DMs, ask them, hey, how did you find the resource? Is there anything else I can help you with? So it's kind of like a Trojan horse in the sense that you can give them a free resource, but then you can start up a conversation and ultimately move them towards your offer, or, getting on a sales call, etc. In terms of like how often should you have call to actions, 70 to 80% of your email should. Typically with short form, only 30 to 40% of the videos should have call to actions. We don't want to overload people by always asking them. We want to be giving, and then asking, or else your audience will tune you out. And I like to use ManyChat to set up this whole system where someone comments a keyword. I then ask them a couple questions. I collect their name, I collect their email in the DMs. Then I send them the PDF lead magnet or the YouTube video. and there's a bunch of flows. You can make it really advanced in terms of how you're qualifying your prospects and leads. But I use ManyChat. It's kind of the gold standard for automations in Instagram. And so I've linked it here in the PDF as well. And the last part is really idea hacking. So I love this idea. Idea hacking is taking one big idea and turning it into at least a week's worth of content. So instead of trying to come up with a new idea every single time, you create or like one new idea for every day of the week if you're trying to post every day. Idea hacking is how I turn one really strong idea into a full week of content across platforms. And it's really the key that allows me to create consistently while spending about 4 hours or less a week actually creating content. In terms of like where to find these ideas or like find a winning idea, there's 3 places that you can pull from, right? 1, your business. So the questions, objections, the frequently asked questions that you get on sales calls from clients, from prospects, from leads in your DMs. The best ideas are ideally from people who've already paid you, because that's kind of, you want more people to pay you. So why not ask the people who've already paid you for their ideas? The second is the scroll save method, which is really simple. We're basically scrolling Instagram and we're saving videos from creators, competitors in our niche that we feel like we could recreate or make our own version of. And so that's like the second way to find, the big idea that you want to create into a week's worth of content. And then the third is using software. So I use this software called Sandcastles AI to basically do the research for me and save me time by doing research on creators, competitors that I tell it to, and automatically filtering their ideas by performance so that I can find the highest performing ideas quickly. And so then I can take those ideas and make content from it. If you actually want to dive deeper into finding the winning ideas, I have this other lead magnet linked right here, which goes more into depth about each of these types of, I call them idea streams, and how you can create them for your own content. And so the whole idea with idea hacking is that you take one idea based on these 3 methods of finding ideas. You write one newsletter from it. You film one YouTube video on the idea. You create one reel from the strongest moment of that YouTube video, or you can film it separately. You run a story sequence on that idea, and then you build a carousel. Again, one idea just packaged in different ways. Again, going back to that 7-11-4 rule, more touch points, more platforms, more watch times. If you actually want the prompt that I use inside Claude Code to basically take one idea and turn it into a full week of content, DM me the word waterfall on Instagram and I'll share that with you. So the last part is really the order. It does matter the order that you implement these 4 steps that I just went over. And if you mess it up, it's not necessarily going to get the results that you want. It's not necessarily going to sign you the clients that you want. You need the authority first, right? Without an authority gap, nothing else you post is going to convert. You would basically just be funneling people towards an offer that they don't actually believe in. The second part is creating the offer ladder. So once people trust you, you need to basically give them rungs to climb so that every level of buyer, every follower has a way into your world and a way to work with you. Third is when you build out the ecosystem. So connect those platforms that we talked about to build the trust systematically using that 7-11-4 rule and funnel leads towards your offer on autopilot without actually spending a ton of time. Because once you build the system and set it up once, posting content is going to basically run the engine, and you won't need to worry about following up with a bunch of leads and like doing a lot of cold outreach. When people come into your ecosystem, they start seeing all these different touch points, all these different platforms, your content, your short form, your long form, your story sequences. They're going to build a ton of trust very quickly, and eventually they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to work with you. And then the last part is finding those ideas to keep that content system, that content ecosystem fed and moving, basically. And so that's really the last part of the entire content creation system that I use to sign 10K clients with my personal brand consistently. Remember, you don't need to go viral. You just need to build the systems and the content that makes you the only logical choice for your clients. It's not about going viral. It's not about crazy reach. It's about that system that makes the decision, which is a big one, to spend a ton of money on you, make that decision as easy as possible before anyone even gets on a sales call with you. If you want me to build this system with you, right? The step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, that authority, that offer stack that we talked about, the idea hacking, and then the content monetization ecosystem, you can book in a one-on-one consultation with me here if you have the PDF, or it's the first link in the description on YouTube, or you can DM me on Instagram at LongevityPenguin, and I'll point you to the next right step. Appreciate you taking the time. I hope you got a lot of value from this video. Use this information, go sign more high-ticket clients for your business, and I'll see you in the next one.